Hi chickens, today is a very special day. It is the day that I finally get to unbox the Dust to Onyx Tarot, which finally arrived at my house after all manner of different palavers. It was completely ridiculous. I waited for so long while the deck was actually in the delivery office, but they needed to calculate the customs charge on it, and I kept checking online day after day after day, nothing. Over a week later, they finally calculated the customs charge, but then I had to wait for the letter to arrive. And then finally the letter arrived, and then I lost the letter for like 2 days, and I was looking around frantically for it because I needed the reference number. And then the reference number didn't work online, so I had to wait until the next day to actually call the office because the reference number would not go in the online system. Oh my fucking goddess, it's finally here. I feel severely and supremely tested, but I survived. I survived the challenge of waiting for this thing to be in my hot little hands, and now it is. Without further ado, let's go the fuck ahead and open it before I wake up and I realise this is all a dream and the bloody thing is still in the fucking delivery office. Hashtag tarot woes. But my tarot woes are no more because it's here. It's finally here, and look at this box. Oh my god, that is sumptuous. That is actually absolutely beautiful. I'm not going to lie, it's such a shame I will not be using it. I'm suspecting that this deck is going to be one that I use a lot, that I pull out for clients, that I pull out for work on my own readings. So this box is not convenient. It's very cumbersome. It's going to take up a shit ton of room in my tarot shelves, which are, you know, not big. They don't cover, there's still a lot of room in there for decks, but not for this box. This box is like 3 decks worth of space. So this box will be placed behind my tarot shelves with the Sacred Creators box and a couple of other cumbersome boxes like the Marielle Tarot box. I will keep the boxes in case I ever want to repatriate them to the decks, but they are not at all practical. Beautiful, gorgeous, very celebratory, very grandiose and befitting of the art that they contain, but sadly just not practical for me, not practical for the space that I have, and not practical considering that I'm going to want to reach for the decks fairly easily, so they will go into bags. And that just gives me an excuse to do a little bit of bag shopping because I do not make my own bags. Shock horror, guys, I don't make absolutely every single thing for my craft or my tarot practice. I know you might want to be sitting down, but some people don't mind paying for craftsmanship occasionally from other people who can make things a damn sight better than they ever could themselves. And when it comes to tarot bags, that's one thing that I choose not to make myself. I choose to find other people within the community who do make tarot bags to a high standard and cross their palms with silver. I don't personally feel like there's anything wrong with that, so before you get your knickers in a twist and leave a comment down below telling me to make my own bags, I'm not going to be making my own bags. It does give me an excuse to go and find some peeps on Etsy who maybe I haven't purchased from before, whose bags I really like the look of, so that's going to be exciting. I really hope that didn't come off as passive aggressive, but I have had a massive increase lately in comments from very hard line make it yourself people lately, and I just don't make everything myself, and I think that's okay. Okay, so if I hold this box up, it does have a snap clasp there, magnetic, and if I open it up now, oh wow, Dust to Onyx, a melanated tarot deck with Courtney Alexander's signature in gold. How exciting. When I discovered this on Kickstarter, it was because somebody suggested it to me and thought that I might like the look of it, and I was absolutely astounded. I backed it immediately. I posted all about it on social media and asked anyone else who was even remotely interested in it to also back it if they had the money to do so, because I really wanted this thing to be made, and I can't believe that it is now here. How exciting. So there's this postcard on the inside. I'm not sure which card this is from the deck. I'm assuming it is a card from the deck. It's absolutely gorgeous. And it says here, thank you for supporting Dust to Onyx, a melanated tarot deck. This deck is possible because of you. I am forever grateful. Courtney, I'm forever grateful to you, baby. Thank you so much for bringing this into the world. What an unbelievable labour of love. And I can't wait to actually hold the cards. Now, I must admit, I haven't looked at any unboxing and first impressions of this deck. I wanted to just give my impressions raw and from the heart first. I started watching Ember Honey Ravens and I really wanted to watch it, but I stopped after the introduction. I was like, no, I'm so close now. I know that mine is in the post. Let me wait. I also almost watched Two Spirits unboxing and first impressions, but then I decided not to again. I think I got like one card in and then I was like, no, let me wait. So these impressions are really not influenced by anything. I'm just going to do what I normally do and go through and ramble and just talk about the various different impressions that I have. So underneath the postcard, there is this book, which is the Book of Meanings. It's really beautiful. It's like, it's got the Dust to Onyx logo on it, but kind of all kind of messy and scrappy, as though it's a cave painting. It looks like it's been there for years and years and years, and it makes the book feel really old. And this book is also textured. It has all of these raised parts on it, which also makes it feel like it's been painted somewhere a long time ago. Like it's got this really primal vibe to it. It's gorgeous. I love that. I think that had I have received this deck a few years ago, I would not like the fact that the Dust to Onyx logo is all kind of rubbed off and as though it's really old. I don't think I would have appreciated that aesthetic, but I really like it now. I think this is really so atmospheric. It just feels like an ancient grimoire or something, so that's really cool. Oh, it does make you open it the wrong way though. I've just literally opened it the wrong way because it looks the same both ways. Yeah, so this is the right way. The way that I will tell is when I pull out the little ribbon and the little ribbon sticking out the bottom, I suppose. Dust to Onyx, a melanated tarot deck. Underneath here it says, I think that says Vade Mecum, or Vade Vade. I think it looks like it's Latin. Let me look up what that means.
Vade Mecum.
Vade Mecum. It means a handbook or guide that is kept constantly at hand for consultation. That's very appropriate. I've never actually seen the use of that Latin terminology before, so that's really cool. So we move on from here. This is really beautiful, very high quality book here. Wow. This really just takes you on such a personal journey with Courtney into the making of this deck. There's a channeled message here. It says here, I took some time to commune with those who guided me through this work. I asked what words were meant to be given to guide you into the work. I put pen to paper and wrote what was said without filter. I'm not going to read it, but it's stunning. This is just gorgeous. And then we move to the table of contents. This is something that I will delight in using. And if you've been around the channel for any length of time, you know that I'm not actually massive on the companion books. They're not something that I feel like I get the maximum amount of use out of that I could, to be honest with you. I do like to just dive in with the deck and not necessarily focus so much on the book. But this book is just absolutely sumptuous. And I feel like it's definitely going to be something that I need anyway to get a handle on the imagery and just get to grips with exactly what was intended for each card. Some information on developing a bond with the deck, some elemental and numerological keywords. Wow, this is just amazing. Astrological terms. There are a couple of spreads on offer in here and both of them look really unique and innovative. The first is called the Vehicle spread, and the second is the Dust to Onyx spread. So it's actually the deck's signature spread, which looks really cool. Each of the cards has 2 pages dedicated to it with the colour picture on one side and then the details on the other. Wow, I'm really, really stunned. So stunned by this book. The quality is amazing. I know that I'm really going to want to keep visiting this book and keep referring to it. It's gorgeous. So the names of each of the cards are different in the Major Arcana. So the Moor is the Hierophant, the Chief is the Emperor, the Queen Mother is the Empress. So that will take some time to get used to for definite. Obviously you've got the numbers there, so you can just look at the numbers for reference. The Lovers is the same as it is in a standard tarot deck. Oh wow, the Chariot is called the Rider, which looks really cool. So you've got some variation in the Major Arcana when it comes to names. And then with the Minor Arcana, I know that the names are different. So let me just take a quick look. Blades, coins, gourds, and staffs. Okay, so that's also going to take a little bit of getting used to for me. So I will definitely be delving into that and making sure that I've got my head in the right place with regard to which element is represented by which suit. Underneath the book, you've got 2 little alcoves and you've got half the deck in each alcove. I know this is not necessarily the preference for a lot of people, and a lot of people did just want to have a tuck box which was half the size of this. I don't mind in either direction. As I said, I am going to be decanting the cards from this glorious box. It's such a shame to have to do so. If it was a tuck box of an ordinary deck size, of course I would love to be able to pull it out and look at it every single time I want to play with these cards, but this is just too cumbersome and too large for what I've got going on in terms of tarot shelves. So it doesn't really matter to me that the deck is coming in 2 separate alcoves, because I will be placing them into the same. Oh yeah, and you've got that like lovely felt feel to it inside the box. Really high quality, really pretty. Okay, so I guess I'm going to take the 2 halves of the deck out. You've got the amazing gold edging there. Absolutely gorgeous. And already I can feel that the quality of the cards is really nice, guys. Fucking finally. Oh my goddess. Oh, I'm so happy. Okay, so the very first thing that I will say is I love the matte feel of the cards. It's almost got that like powdered texture to it. It's very beautiful. As I said, very high quality. And I'm also really pleased that the cards themselves are not too terribly big. As I've been looking at the unboxings, it has looked as though the cards are actually kind of like bigger than I would have hoped they would be, because I want it to be quite easy to play with them. Now they are wider than a standard tarot deck size, but from some of the look of them in the unboxings I've been seeing, I was like, oh, they are actually really quite big. You know, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do a 6-card reading for a client on my tarot table with them. I don't know if I'm really going to have the room. So that was a concern for me. It's a concern that has now been alleviated as I'm actually holding the cards. Definitely I will have to stretch my teeny little hands out to shuffle, but it's not going to be an impossible task. And this is what the whole deck looks like all together with the gold edging. It's a very, very deep gold edging. It's not super high shine or anything like that. It's like a matte edging. It's very, very gorgeous. I love this kind of thing on tarot decks. And there's no border around the sides of the cards. There is a little strip on the top and a little strip on the bottom, but no border. The image goes all the way to the edges, which I think a lot of people will really appreciate about this deck. One thing I'm really noticing is the raised kind of parts on the cards, which really kind of give emphasis to certain parts of the imagery. Like you've got the incredible jewel detailing here on the head of this first figure, and when you touch it, it's raised. And it's the same thing here with the second card, the Conjurer, aka the Magician. You've got this part raised, and you've also got raising on this part as well. So this is an incredibly tactile deck. Actually, the feeling of the deck, the way that it feels when you touch it, is part of the experience of learning with it and reading with it. And here with the Shaman, this part of the image is raised, so really it's incredible the amount of work that's gone into these cards. You can really feel, and the jewelry detailing here as well is also raised up slightly, so this incredible like embossed quality gives you this really like tactile sense of the deck as well. So it's almost like your other senses are becoming involved, like the sense of touch is becoming involved as you play with the deck, which is really awesome. So with the very first card, the emerging one, which is a reimagining of the Fool, I was really interested in why this baby goat is on the shoulders of the figure. And it says in the book that the goat wearing a crown of flowers represents childlike innocence. The goat brings with it the spirit of independence, curiosity, intelligence, and ambition. Its symbolism and physical form are so versatile that it brings nourishment, warmth, and assistance through a strong connection with earth. Around the globe, the goat has been used as a vessel of purity and sacrifice, as well as a symbol of sin and darkness. It embodies the complexity and balance of humanity. While the new air is crisp and refreshing, the goat reminds the emerging one to stay grounded and to not be consumed by the excitement that newness brings. I really love that. I love that reasoning, and it makes things a lot clearer for me. From the very first moment I saw the emerging one, I really enjoyed the look of what I admit actually at the time I thought was a baby sheep. But I really enjoyed the look of that creature around the shoulders with that crown of flowers, and to understand more about Courtney's intentions with the inclusion of this particular animal has been really great for me, finally, after all this time. So that's really interesting. Wow, the Conjurer has got so much attitude. I can really feel so much personality and so much soul coming from this particular image. I'm very interested in the fact that the Conjurer's top that she's wearing has been cut, and there is a breast protruding through the top. So that will be an interesting thing to explore. I feel like there could definitely be a lot there that is to do with exhibitionism, confidence, exertion of power. There's an assertiveness there, I think, with the conjurer's clothing looking as it does. The shaman as the reimagining of the high priestess is just absolutely flawless. This is so stunning. The colours are incredible. The jewellery is just really draws my eye to it. There's something about the face and the expression on the face which is just so entrancing and beguiling. This is a very beautiful interpretation of one of my absolute favourite archetypes in tarot, so that's really beautiful to see. And I think Queen Mother as the Empress is going to be a really popular interpretation, a very popular illustration for a lot of people that use the deck as well. This is really gorgeous. I feel like that green part of the hat that she's wearing is like just a great big massive emerald, and that really draws my eye to it. That's really gorgeous. I love the flowers on the shoulders that are tied with that really gorgeous fine chain detail, and of course I love the emphasis on the breasts. Like the whole card to me is just so Empress-like and really gives me such a different interpretation than I've ever really seen before. I definitely feel like the Chief is giving me Grace Jones vibes, and I don't think that can be an accident. I wonder if anybody else has mentioned the likeness there. I definitely immediately, as soon as I saw it, thought of Grace Jones, which is no bad thing for a depiction of the card which is associated with the Emperor. I really like the Moor because I like the fact that he's holding up his hand and kind of like putting his hand out to you as though he's giving you a blessing or as though you are in receipt of his wisdom. And I feel like there's no detachment in that case between you and this spiritual figure, this leader, this guide. I feel like you're having an interaction with him. You're not one step removed from the interaction. You're not looking at him from afar. You actually are a part of the interaction. It's an interaction that you're having with him. So there's a closeness and an intimacy there. And I feel it's as though you really are being given the benefit of his guidance in a one-to-one kind of setting where you are being mentored, you are experiencing that connection with him. So I definitely really appreciate that interpretation. I feel a similar kind of intimacy going on with the Strength card as well. I think it's great that I actually feel like I'm really close up to the figure that represents strength. I feel like we're having an interaction. I feel like we're having a tete-a-tete almost, and there's something really intimate and almost a little bit kind of romantic about how close I am to this figure and how I'm really looking into her eyes, and her eyes are like framed by the infinity symbol. There is just something so beautiful and different about that. And of course I also really love the fact that she's wearing this kind of scarf or this kind of dress that's very high-necked that actually has the print of the lion on it. That's really, really beautiful. And those coins as well. So much gold, so much shininess. It's just really pretty. The Death card really does it for me all the way. This is a card that I was so happy to see during the making of the deck. I was very excited that this was going to be the image for the Death card. Death is really important to me and I like it to be done right and in a way that really makes me feel something. I love the fact that so much of the background is just black and sparse and there's nothing really going on. And then you've got this incredible red plumage and what looks to me to be a hand holding the skull that is really floral and really loud and vivacious. So I really appreciate the contrast there. Temperance is unreal with all of that white, beautiful plumage. There is something incredibly magical about this figure. I feel like this figure knows some deep magic from the dawn of fucking time, and that really excites me about the Temperance card. I'm very intrigued by the interpretation of the devil in this deck being called Temptation for one, and having, you know, the imagery of the male form. And then, you know, you've got this kind of the closed eyes of the central figure, and it's almost insinuating that the central figure is going to a certain place in the mind's eye, thinking of certain thoughts, you know, and being sexual. That interests me. I'll have to think a lot more about that because I've never really been keen on the association overly of the devil archetype with sex and sexuality. So I need to think a lot more about what this means, and I already do have some ideas about what this could mean or the possible direction artistically that Courtney was going in at the time of choosing this particular imagery, but I don't really want to share that because it's still something that's very jumbled up in my headspace. But I have my ideas about what this could mean. One thing that I do love about this card though is that fucking necklace. You all know that I'm partial to some big, chunky, gaudy, gorgeous, eye-catching neck candy, and that really does it for me. I actually really want that. The different combination of patterns and colours in the tower is stunning. That is really eye-catching, so beautiful. If that was to come up anywhere in a spread with this particular deck, you know that it would be the card that would draw your eye to it, which I think is really good for the tower, because the tower just has such a difficult reputation. It has such a nuanced set of messages. People are afraid of it. People do get afraid of interpreting it or being able to interpret it in an empowering way for themselves or for other people. So there's definitely something about the fact that the tower is so unbelievably colourful and vivid that makes me interested in it, and I will definitely be looking at that more. I'm not going to lie, it's kind of difficult for me to find out immediately which of the 4 suits in the minor arcana are representative of which element. I'm trying to figure it out, but I can't really see. It says here, Elementals, Minor Arcana. These cards represent the main elemental forces of nature: fire, earth, air and water. They illustrate the mundane matters of existence. Okay, so I'm guessing that they go in the same order. So fire, earth, air and water. Oh no, here we go. I found it. It's on page 8. So earth represents, coins are representative of earth, which I assumed. Staffs are fire, blades are air and gourds are water. Okay, that makes sense. So we begin then with the 4 suits in the minor arcana with the suit of blades. 3 of blades, aka 3 of swords, is beautiful. I really, really love this. It looks like the face is crying tears of blood. You've got what looks to be 2 swords down below and then 1 shield in the middle. That looks like a shield to me. So that's something to really play with and work with. As many of you will know, 3 of Swords is my favourite card from the Minor Arcana, and above and beyond the most important card for me in the suit of Swords. So yeah, 3 of Blades as the depiction of 3 of Swords is definitely really beautiful. I really enjoy it. The colours in 6 of Blades are so unbelievably rich. These blues are just so royal. They are absolutely gorgeous. I love this. I love this figure. This figure looks like it's made out of stars, and the headpiece that the figure is wearing is just enchanting. This is really beautiful. So captivating. 10 of Blades is really beautiful. These images for the Minor Arcana are a lot more abstract, it appears to me, and this one has got a real collage feel to it. I really love the disjointed, kind of smashed appearance of the figure, and the blades just kind of moving towards the back, and that incredible blue dripping paint. That is really lovely. The court cards all have the title that is pertaining to their element. So in this case, the 4 court cards all are called Blade, but the page is called Lil Blade, the knight is called Young Blade, the queen is Mama Blade, and the king is Papa Blade. So that's how it kind of goes. I really like that. That's a really awesome reinterpretation, and there's something really endearing, I think, really charming about those names as well, which I enjoy. I'm going to show you the 4 courts for the suit of Blades side by side, so you can see that there is an incredible cohesion with these 4 cards. You know, you've really got these 4 faces that you can kind of look into, you can scry into. There is something just very cohesive about this collection of 4 different figures, which I find to be really engrossing and engaging. I feel like you could do a lot of work with these 4 court cards as a group. There's just something very holistic about the way these 4 have been done together, and I'm wondering if the other courts are the same, which I'll find out as I go through the deck. Ace of Coins is unbelievable. Oh my goddess, guys. There is just so much feeling there when I look at that. I really enjoy the necklace. All the gold hardware in this deck just gets me so excited. This is really beautiful. 2 of Coins is joyous. It's so positive and uplifting. I absolutely love the pose. I love the headdress. I love the plumage in the headdress. There's something about this that is incredible. And again, as with a lot of the figures in this deck, I really feel like the figure is almost made out of stars. Like, you can see the sky, the night sky in this figure. It's very cosmic. I really love the fact as well with the two of coins that you really feel like the two coins have actually been dug up in an archaeological dig. They actually look like really old coins that have been like discovered underground. Three of coins is gorgeous. You've got these two figures lifting up this beautiful woven basket with these three coins inside, and the clothing here is amazing. The pattern on the basket is gorgeous. Again, I feel really uplifted by this card. I feel really elevated by it. And I love these star stuff figures that I just feel like I've got the whole cosmos running through them. This is just absolutely beautiful. This deck is so on point. Everything is just speaking and vibing, and it's just so cohesive as a vision. There's nothing I've seen so far that's out of place. Everything looks so distinctive as dust to onyx, and everything also works so well in conjunction with each other. Oh wow, Six of Coins is showing the crescent moon with the coins falling into this beautiful emerald water, which actually looks a lot like the surface of the earth. That is so trippy and so beautiful, so vivid. It really takes me somewhere. Oh wow, Ten of Coins almost looks a little bit like a poster, like a political poster. You've got all of these hands raised together in unison. It looks like it represents activism and empowerment and autonomy, and every hand is holding onto a coin. And it's just this formation, it's this incredible unison. There's something really magical about that. And of course, the lovely hues in the sky behind. You've got like the red, orange and green in the sky behind, which is gorgeous. So again, with the court cards for the suit of coins, I can see this beautiful cohesion. Again, you've got close-ups of the four faces. And again, you feel like you are looking at a family, you are looking at a set, you are looking at a series, each of which has their particular slice of wisdom and insight to give to you. So I really, really love these cohesive collections of court cards. That's something that always really means a lot to me when I see that, and I feel like I can explore the four courts of a particular element together. Ace of Gourds is a card that I was very excited about before I received the deck. It was one that I couldn't wait to actually experience and explore while I was looking at it. And the blue water that's falling from this water carrying receptacle is textured. It does have that embossed feel to it. It is raised. So that's really interesting to me and feels really, really lovely on my fingertips. The purple, gold and blue with the grey background is just so beautiful to behold. I could literally look at that all day. Six of Gourds is really interesting. It looks like the two figures are actually kind of congratulating each other and celebrating together over this work of art that they've kind of created, which is in the middle between them, or that's the vibe that I get anyway, and that's what I'm really taking from it at the moment. So I really enjoy that interpretation of Six of Gourds, which would usually be the Six of Cups. Seven of Gourds is very interesting because we're using some magazine imagery here. There's actually imagery here of women cut from magazines, looking very high fashion, looking very contemporary. There's a very modern feel to this. But then in the background, which at first looks a little bit like just a nebulous kind of diaphanous background with stars on it, you can see clearly that there is a face there. And the face is actually kind of looking towards these very kind of clean-cut, high-fashion, magazine-worthy women. So that's something that I definitely would explore more. Just in the interest of consistency, guys, I will show you the four court cards for Gourds. Again, you've got that incredible cohesion. You feel like you are looking at a family, you are looking at kind of four halves of one whole. So again, I really appreciate that and I really get a good vibe from that. Three of Staffs is amazing. I love the fact that these three staffs are framing this incredible purple flower, and you can see the bee there in the center of the flower collecting the pollen. That's definitely something to be worked with and appreciated for sure. I love this incredible warrior figure in Six of Staffs. There's something so magical about this, and I love all of this amazing kind of gold magical energy almost that's coming from these staffs. It almost looks a little bit like fire, but it doesn't strike me as fire. It strikes me as kind of magical energy or magical intention. Again, with the Seven of Staffs, you've got a similarly warrior-esque figure there. and it looks like magic is definitely being made here. It looks very ceremonial, very much like there is a working that is being done. I'm very intrigued by this cube above the two staffs that the figure is holding, and I really love as well these kind of diamond gems that are placed on the face and also on the genital area. And again, in the interest of consistency, I'm showing you the 4 court cards from the suit of staffs. And as with the others, I really feel like we're looking at 4 halves of the same whole here. We're looking at like the 4 chambers of the heart, if you will. And that's something really exciting to see and work with. My first impressions of this deck have left me absolutely floored. I am very, very excited to start working with this deck and exploring it in more depth. Thank you so much for coming on this initial exploration with me, Pop-Tarts. I always really love to share my first impressions with you. Please let me know down below what your thoughts are on this deck. Did you actually support the Kickstarter for this deck? Have you received yours, and what do you think of it? Is it one that you are impressed by, that you are excited or inspired by? Let me know what some of your favourite cards were from the ones that I showcased. And again, thank you for being with me. So much love. Blessed be.